There's not much more that's natural than to be frustrated with the feeling that you're still staring down the same habits of sin, or maybe even new ones that you're like, wow, I didn't think I was going to get addicted to shoes or to Netflix, in my mid 40s. I thought I was done with silly things like that. Sin has this way of reinventing itself and re-entering into the room just when we think we've gotten the door shut. And that's common to human existence. The difference for the believer is that we have a hope when that happens. The unbeliever really has no hope of ever being free from those patterns, but we do. We want to have a neatly resolved plot line where we say, I had this problem and I asked the Lord and he removed my desire for that and I didn't do it anymore. But we all know that that's not typically the way that we see holiness playing out in our lives. Like Israel and like most of the people that we hear mentioned in the scriptures, it takes a repeated process for us to learn to hate our sin the way that we should. And our hatred for a particular sin or a particular sin pattern grows often across a lifetime. I think sometimes people will say, well, that's not really freedom. Like, that's not really being free from sin. But it is the nature of the freedom from sin that we enjoy during the time that we live on this earth as believers. We are being increasingly freed from sin's power. But the kind of freedom that I think we typically hope for is a freedom from sin's presence. And we don't get that until later. That's when we go to be with the Lord. And until that time, we're called to think about all of the active verbs that you hear in Scripture, that we're to wrestle, that we're to struggle, that we're to run hard, that we're to strive. All of those verbs are telling us that it is hard work, but it's the best work to live a life that's spent overcoming sin to please the Lord.